All right, I am here with Brian Kelly. Hey, Brian.
What's up, Jen?
Up. And he's with Keller Williams out of Northern Kentucky. So, Brian, you have a very unpopular opinion on this topic, and it's usually only me that has the unpopular opinion. So I thought I'd bring you on to share some of the
Nice. Is this
flack.
what it feels like to be you?
Exactly. So we were talking about should an agent that's licensed ever list their house for sale by owner? And I would say, more than a majority of the responses were like, never, what the hell, why would they do that? But you see things differently. Please
Yeah, as
enlighten us.
that is the norm of my life.
Yes, I know.
Even my closest friends, like, you just look at things different. Well, when it comes to real estate, in any regards, what broker you're at, listings you're doing, referrals you're doing, anything you're doing, I try to look at what makes the most financial sense, not what follows the rules of real estate that have always been in play.
Right. Well, the rules are
Well, the rules are
antiquated.
goofy. I
Yeah.
feel like real estate agents have been doing real estate for 20 and 30 years, but they've never taken a business course ever. Or they
Right.
ran their own normal brick and mortar business and they don't understand the concept of finances or budgets or spreadsheets or P&Ls, all that stuff. They just they never knew to look into that, and come on, any idiot can sell a house. Real estate is pretty simple.
Okay.
I know that's probably
I
not
know.
popular either.
Let's stick to like one hot topic at a time, shall we?
So, with that, why I look at the listing your house, your own house, I think there you have to answer a couple of questions. Is it your personal home that you've lived in for 2 years or more? Is it an investment, maybe a rental that you've held on to for a long time, or is it a flip that you turned over? And then other factors that come into play is where you're brokered and your commission splits and all that stuff.
Okay.
So
Let's say, most of the people that I'm talking to that they are for sale by owner and I find out they're an agent, it's either usually like their personal house or let's go with like a flip or some type of investment property.
Yeah, we'll do kind of both.
Because a lot of agencies allow you, but even then you wouldn't do it for sale by owner. You could just do it on the MLS.
Maybe.
Anyway, let's
look
hear
at
it.
it. Let's start at personal home. I know you said, but let's start there because a lot of people may not buy flips. If you own your personal home and you've lived there for over 2 years and you've gained equity in your home, you don't have to pay capital gains on the asset and the improved value or whatever the value. So after 2 years, let's say it's increased crazy, 50,000.
Right.
You go list it on the MLS with your broker. You're now going to pay 3% to a buyer agent, which is fine. I say always do that, market that. But then you're going to pay yourself 3%.
Right.
So now you've taken, let's say it's a $200,000 house, $6,000. We now have $6,000 that I have to run through my broker.
Taxes.
Now the government's going to get whatever tax bracket you're in. They're now going to get that percentage from it. So,
but that's assuming that your brokerage doesn't. A lot of brokerages allow for like if it's your personal residence, a lot of them will allow you to not like pay yourself the commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying if they do that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
If they do that, yeah, that's great.
But you're saying if they don't do that, okay, so then you have the $6,000 that you have to, well, true.
You see what I'm saying? If they let you do a free one, cool. You run it through the MLS, you pay 3% to your buyer agent, and then now you don't have taxable income coming in, and you're not losing.
But I would argue, though, you are losing money because that amount that the commission costs is going to be like what you're gaining is that you're actually making more money. Whereas if you were just listed for sale by owner with the 3% buyer agent, you're going to make less than the $6,000 it's costing you, or whatever.
Why is that?
Well, that's why people don't list their house for sale by owner, because if that weren't true, they would just list their house for sale by owner. We can obviously make more money.
Well, we can because we're real estate agents and we know what we're doing.
Yeah, but we know what we're doing, and and it's also the marketing power as having it represented by a real estate agent. When you're listing it as for sale by owner, even if you say you're like an agent, which most of the time they don't, it's not the same marketing effect as if you have it listed in the MLS.
Maybe. I guess that's where people disagree.
You think so? I mean,
Is there power in the MLS? Yes. If you're a real estate agent and you know a lot of the hot websites, clearly Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, you can put them all out there. But then it may also depend on your market, what city you're in.
True.
Fort Thomas, Kentucky, and I tell people, yeah, you can hold a sign in your front yard and it'll sell in 10 minutes.
But the issue is not selling. You can sell the house regardless. The issue is how much are you going to get for it, right?
Correct. So why would I, as a real estate agent, not be able to get the same amount as if I listed it on the MLS? Now, we bring value to somebody who's not a real estate agent because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, as a real, you would still want, I would argue you should actually, on your personal residence, have another agent represent you, but that's like a totally different story.
Oh, yeah.
So,
because then that's costing you right out the gate.
I don't care because you're going to make the money back.
Why? How are you going to make money back? That's what I don't
I'm going to tell you.
Okay, tell me.
Here we go. So let's say, well, one, we just talked about, we're talking about, okay, if you listed it for sale by owner as like a flat fee on the MLS, you're even saying too, right?
Those are pretty great deals.
I mean, they don't cost very much.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. But if you're the agent and, well, if you were allowed to list it as a flat fee, then that means you have a adjustable commission rate and it wouldn't even matter. It would be like the same. You use your same process that you always do. So that's listing it as though you have an agent. You're just charging yourself less.
Right.
Okay. So let's say that you list it for sale by owner, but you do not list it on the MLS. So that's like the point of contention. If I'm a real estate agent, is it better for me financially to list it for sale by owner non-MLS or list it for sale by owner or list it on the MLS as an agent, right? Is that what we're fighting about? Okay.
Yep.
I would say part of the reason, obviously you have the access to the MLS, but your counter argument is, well, if I know all those websites, I can put them on. I just wouldn't put them on the MLS. I put them everywhere else. But I think like that in and of itself is an issue because most real estate agents sell like 4 or 5, or they sell some low amount of houses per year. They're not calling for sale by owners. They're not looking at the for sale by owner signs. They're actually nervous to call for sale by owners. So by not listing it on the MLS as a real estate agent, like you would do anybody else as a customer's house, you're effectively taking all like 90 to 95, I would argue maybe even 98% of real estate agents, and you're not even capturing any of their buyers because they're not going to come to you.
Gotcha.
What do you think?
Maybe.
I
think it has a lot to do with how somebody markets.
Yeah.
We all know how many real estate agents, and we've probably done it ourselves, where you just put it online. You put it on the MLS and that's it.
Right.
A lot of agents do that. I try never to do that, but I'm sure one has slipped through the cracks and I never mentioned it. There's probably no way, but let's say that would just be bad.
Well, sometimes that happens. If you're like in a hot market, it's a very good price point, there's nothing else on the market, like the day you put it up, it sells within like an hour. Like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it necessarily, it could have happened had you have not listed it in the MLS and put it for sale by owner, like on Zillow or whatever, or for salebyowner.com or something like that. I just think it's also like a professional, like as a real estate agent, if I don't follow the process that I tell my customers, this is what works, how can I tell them that this is what works?
I gotcha. Here's my opinion. I don't care what other people think. If it comes down to more money in my pocket to provide for my family,
yeah,
I do. Now, what we sell is telling people that are not real estate agents that you need to use a licensed real estate agent that knows how to market your home and get it sold for the value, all the same pitch.
Yeah. Right, right.
I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I filled that gap without having to hire a real estate agent.
So then the question is there a case for making more money
On the MLS?
on the MLS versus like for sale by owner non-MLS, we'll call it.
Yeah. I think that I think would be the only thing that, if we could figure that out, is are you going to make more money being on the MLS or not? And I think right now in our market that we're in, I don't think so. I don't think being on the MLS is going to make you more money. I think with the amount of marketing you can do with social media, anywhere else that you put it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just think that I disagree. And I don't know that we'll actually solve this, because the only stats we have, right, are like the NAR stats, which that's like getting stats from the hot dog vendor about like, do a lot of people eat hot dogs? Yes, 100% of the people eat hot dogs, right? Because they come to, anyway.
I know.
Those stats make me insane.
No, I do like the fact that you said about the flat rate listing. I mean, if I was a real estate agent and I was selling my house for $200,000 and I was able to put it on the MLS for an additional $100 expense, that makes sense to me to do that, because that would essentially be putting on $100 towards marketing, which you should be doing that anyways.
Would you do $1,000?
No.
Would you do 500?
Maybe.
Would you do
200, 250, probably going to be the max. Probably 200 even would be pushing it for me.
I just think that when you're on the MLS, you definitely have a lot more exposure.
You do.
Which, when you have more exposure, economics dictates that you'll likely get a higher price than if you have less exposure. I also think that like when you're on like we'll say Zillow as a for sale by owner, the public view is more of like a garage sale, versus when you're on the MLS, it's more like a Nordstrom or Macy's view. Like, I think that the public looks at that ad and says like, either like they can negotiate, because most buyers will use an agent and most agents will not call for sale by owners.
Yeah. Well, most agents don't call for sale by owners because they're clearly marked that they're going to get their 3%.
But they don't call them.
Well, they would if the first line, buyers, agents.
But they don't, because like if you're calling for sale by owners, like there's the same amount of agents, in my experience, they're not getting more phone calls than the people that are like expired. Like if you are making phone calls, like you're making them usually to everyone. And if you're not making them. Like they're scared. I don't know. I guess we need to.
Right. But I think that's why they're scared, because even I go through that little bit of panic when I've been working with an agent or a client for 3 or 4 months. And then I found this for sale by owner. Can we go look at it? And I'm like, yeah, real confident with them. Let me call them and see. I don't tell them anything about the 3%. I just call them, and then I'm like, oh God, now I have to do this negotiation battle and sales. That's the only thing I feel like I sell in real estate, is selling a for sale by owner to understand it's beneficial for them to pay the buyer agent 3%.
Right.
And
like you said, a lot of times they will do it. So I guess our argument boils down to, do we think you're financially saving more money by listing it for non-MLS versus making more in the MLS?
Yeah, I think your net number by the time you're done paying taxes on your 3% that you get paid listing your house by yourself would be more beneficial to you not to list it on the MLS, unless you could do some kind of cool deal with a broker where you say, hey, let me pay you $100 to get it on the MLS.
Or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, then that's a pretty great deal. But
then we just would have to do the math, right? But I think that you are going to end up making more money by marketing it and casting like a wider net and being like traditional in the sense, because all the agents know how to do a traditional transaction. Not all of them know how to like pick up the phone and deal with a for sale by owner, even if they're an agent.
Yeah. But I think that's where, if you market that correctly, more so to agents than people buying. People are going to buy because of the pictures. You get
Right.
pictures, then the
Right.
first line on your Zillow ad says buyers agents welcome for 3%. I don't think any agent would hesitate calling in that regard. But
Hmm.
that would be personal home. If you start getting into flips and investments, you take on a whole different thing. And when I do a flip, it goes straight to the MLS.
Because why? You want the expenses?
Well, I'm going to, well, first off, I'm capped at the broker I'm at. I'm a Keller Williams. You're at EXP. They have cap limits. So once you cap,
Mhm.
you're not going to pay any commission back to the brokerage, which
So
helps.
it doesn't even matter. At that
Right.
point, if you have a capped thing or whatever, or if your broker charges you a very nominal fee, we agree that you're better off putting it. Okay. But let's say
Right.
you're
Well,
not. Let's
this
say
is
you're
also
very
the
low
big thing.
producing. Huh?
Yeah, the big thing on a flip is that you're going to be paying capital gains, which is probably going to be more than if you just paid our commission, which our commission is how we're taxed as agents. If you sell a good number of them, it's probably going to be pretty close to capital gains or just under that.
Right.
Way you would actually save a little money. You can check with your accountant how you all do your, whoever does your taxes.
Hmm.
Might save you money if you're doing a flip, a short-term investment, listing it and paying yourself through the broker and paying less tax that way than you would on the capital
On the
gain.
capital gains, because you're having a less of a gain. Yeah.
Yeah,
You want the expense, basically.
right.
I think
So,
it's really good. It's something to think about.
yeah.
I like, I wonder how they can get like real stats, like non-NAR and non-for-sale-by-owner.com stats. But I don't think you can because each house is like totally different, right?
Oh, yeah. It's opinionated and it's leveraged towards
And you
that.
still have the appraisal.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, hey,
Yeah, so that's my opinion. Whenever I do any of those, I mean, I've done it before. Just to go crazy on a spreadsheet and put all your numbers, and then put a side by side comparison. What is most beneficial?
right, because even if you believe like that you can make the same amount of money, you can put it on a spreadsheet, or if you believe that you can pull a little bit more by putting it on the MLS, you can put that on the spreadsheet too. I mean, there
Yeah.
are costs and there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, but I think, and that's why I thought this conversation would be interesting. If more than anything, if I ended up agreeing with you, or you ended up agreeing with me, or whoever's out there has an opinion, I think the biggest thing is that people jerk reaction go to what their opinion is and
Right,
what the numbers are.
right.
Break it down to numbers on your business as a whole, not just selling a house, but everything. What's the most beneficial factor when it comes to your finance? The net end, is that beneficial for you? And make a decision on that, not just the opinion of what you've heard or what you've done for 30 years.
Right. No, I mean, that's true. Like, use your brain, use your deductive reasoning, and use your math skills.
Math skills, what are those? That's why you
Next
have a
up, we have a math
spreadsheet.
class.
You don't have to be good at math if you have a Google spreadsheet. It does it for
That's true. That's a good point. Or just send it to Brian and he'll do it
you.
for
Ugh.
you. Cool.
Hey,
Well,
there's
thanks
some
a lot.
spreadsheet geeks out there that would love to do it for you.
That's true. I really appreciate you being on, Brian. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Yeah, appreciate it.
Have a good one.
See you, Jen.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm here with Mara Harpering. Hey, Mara.
How are you?
Great. And I wanted to have Mara on because she is the broker owner of a Remax in Cincinnati. And she works with a lot of investors and a lot of investment property and even has like a full-time property management company. So I wanted to get your opinion on this, Mara. Should a licensed real estate agent, I guess, let me ask it a different way. Under what circumstances is it okay for them to list their own property, or do you think it's a big no-no?
So I have personally listed rental units that I own, investment properties that I've owned, and I've also listed my personal residence. All on MLS, all signed docs, disclosing that I'm the broker owner agent.
Okay.
So always disclose.
Sure.
Which I know some agents that don't disclose that it's their personal property, and so there you're going to run into issues.
Have you ever listed them though, like for sale by owner?
No, I have always listed MLS because it's kind of odd to me that as an agent, where we sell the benefits of listing it on the open market and in MLS, to then not listen to our own advice when it comes to our properties.
Right. But what about, yes, I would say of all the agents that I've asked this, about 99.9% of them agree with you on that. And I agree too. But like, and I've even listed my rentals like on the MLS, right? But why is every like half of the for sale by owners I call, why are they agents?
They shouldn't be, unless they honestly don't believe of the benefit that MLS has to offer.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're not using that tool correctly.
Right. That makes
Because
sense.
I've known some agents that will literally just put in the bare minimum,
Yeah.
you know, the asterisk information in MLS, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do any marketing, you don't have good pictures, you're not going to get anywhere with it. So it's
Yeah.
going to be the same thing. And in all honesty, if you're that agent and you think that you can do a for sale by owner and not use the tools, you're probably not in the right line of work.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree. Now, I like how we were going on like an even different turn. It's like, should you list your own period, like regardless? And you're saying you have, but like it, like in a market that if you know it's going to go like really fast, like I've listed my own rentals and also represented like the tenant. So basically it's like a win-win for me because then I don't have to like really pay myself, right? Like I can save that.
So I still pay. So even let's say I sell one of my personal investment properties, I'm still going to pay myself the full commission and I'm still going to run it through the brokerage. Because it helps my numbers.
Yeah.
And my taxes that I pay on capital gains would be higher than what I pay on my real estate commissions.
That makes sense. And plus you get to lower your you get to lower your expense or your
Correct.
increase your expenses, lower your gain. That makes sense.
So for me, there's a positive.
Okay.
Financially for listing it in MLS and paying myself through that way.
And listing it yourself versus would it then, if that's true, then would it matter if you're listing it yourself or having one of your agents do it?
So anytime that I list my own property, I can't say usually. Most of the time when I list my own property, I'm going to pull one of my agents in as a co-lister.
Okay.
And all the leads on that property are going to go to them.
Okay.
Because I don't want the leads on my property.
I think I know why, but can you explain why?
Yeah, and it's just that liability. You want to give yourself some distance. So if I own the property and I'm the agent, I don't want to rep that buyer or that tenant. That's just way too close. And in all honesty, I've actually sold my investment properties that were listed on MLS to my clients, to my personal clients. And at that point, I pull in one of my agents who's going to rep that buyer for me.
That makes sense.
And
but see, I have
represented
the tenant. So I've listed it like for rent. I'm the agent and the owner, and I have also represented the tenant. But you're saying for you, that's like, and I manage the property. But you're saying for you, it's a big, you don't like it. See, I like it better.
Well, you make more money, but you also open yourself to larger liability.
I'm not worried about the money necessarily. I just like it a little bit better because then I can know a little bit better about who this person is.
Yeah, and we always run our background checks to check the tenant background to make sure that they're going to be a good fit.
Right.
I'm strictly looking at the liability. So if you place a tenant and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later, they get upset over whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
All they have to do is talk to an attorney, and if the attorney has any inclination of actual real estate law and licensing law, they're going to understand that you're going to be on the hook more because you're the owner and the agent than you would if you were just repping them. Right. So in those instances, I always try and pull in somebody else and then just work out a tip fee. So if I have an investment property that I own listed and I have one of my clients that wants to buy it, I'm going to go, hey, Agent Y in my office, You literally just have to write this contract. It's all negotiated. Your name's going to go on it. You're going to get credit. However, I'm going to pay you $500.
Whatever.
Maybe
Right.
instead of 3%, that's like $1,500. I'm just going to pay you $500. But it's a win-win. I get the distance for liability reasons. My
Mm-hmm.
paperwork is complete, and that tenant or that buyer is completely repped by an independent agent.
But not really, because you've already negotiated it. It's like kind of
True.
like fake, sort of. But I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you're a broker, so like you're looking at it from like a broker's point of view. So like from that point of view, you have checked the boxes.
Yes, I've never had to use my E&O insurance in 22 years.
Knock on wood, girl.
It that way, right?
That's awesome. Okay, so you're saying that I agree with you, actually, and I don't think we've done this podcast, and maybe we should. So thanks for bringing it up. But like, I agree. Like when I buy properties, I always have somebody else represent me.
Yep.
And when I sell, I have somebody else represent me. It's just when I have the rental that I usually don't, because a lot of real estate agents, they don't know how to do rentals, and then that
Correct.
makes me insane. Like if you don't know how to do it, like I don't want you doing it because you're just going to be annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, done that a few times.
Yeah, so I would just rather not, because that in and of itself to me is a liability, you know? Yeah.
Just disclose and make sure that you're writing on your lease after your signature line that you're the owner agent.
Got it.
Or agent, yeah, you know what an agent
Whatever
owner.
it is, agent owner, yeah, whatever. Does it even
Because
matter?
a lot of us own rental property and we don't put that on our leases.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
Go back, check. You can still
We need
time
to
to
not
add.
record this part. Yeah, exactly. I'll need to check that for sure. I don't know. Okay, so you're saying that you think that an agent should represent you if you're going to be selling your own property, and you should not sell it for sale by owner. You should always sell
Always
it.
list it in MLS.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So I always just wonder like why they don't. And I think it's
They need to hire a
financial.
better agent.
Not them.
Right.
Well, it's always nice to hear different perspectives because not a lot of agents are investor agents. So I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Hope to do it again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm here with my tiebreaker, David McLaughlin. McLaughlin.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry. Yeah.
There we go. That's good.
And he is with homesnearnola.com and the Williams team at KW New Orleans. So, David, we were chatting about should an agent ever list their home for sale by owner? So I want to hear what your tiebreaker thoughts are. And then you had actually posted this question also, which is fun. We're like in sync.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hear like what the comments were from other people too.
So it was really funny because I wasn't very clear when I made that post that I wasn't in the market to sell my home. So I had all these agents coming at me like, how can you want to list your home by owner? That's so hypocritical. No. You should turn in your license. Like, oh my God.
Wow.
You know, like, yeah. I mean, you know,
they went straight on the attack.
But
right.
And so I finally like updated it and I said, I'm not looking to, so that sort of calmed everybody down a little bit.
Okay, good.
There was, I mean, I didn't do the math on it, but I would say 95% of the agents said that they would definitely list it themselves, which I was a little surprised by. I figured there would be more people who said that they would go by owner.
Really?
Yeah, and it's only because as part of our business, we're calling the for sale by owners and the expired listings every single day. Right. And we come up with a surprising number of them who are realtors.
Right.
And it's, to me, it's just like, do you not believe in your own profession? What's the hang up here? Because you know what the value is. And if you don't see the value in what we do,
then why do they do it?
Why do you do it? Yeah. What's your value proposition to your client? There is actually a team where I live. They're with another company. They probably outsell everybody in our market.
Okay.
Easily. And I will once in a while come up with a for sale by owner that is one of their own listings too, which is to me just
that's weird.
Yeah. But the thing is, we've got all the tools to do it. So as realtors, for example, an architect has all the tools to draw his own house. So many professions have all the tools to do their own work.
Right.
And we do have all the tools to do it, but the thing that we do is we bank on the exposure that we're getting from other realtors. And so that's the one thing we don't have. And I think that, in the same way that we tell people to list with an agent to partly for the exposure, but also to take the emotion out of the deal.
Right.
As realtors, we have a hard time taking the emotion out of our own deals. And being a realtor does not give us a superpower where we can disengage the emotion.
Right. We're more
and in the same
emotional,
way,
I think.
yeah, I mean, we're more emotional because it's our own house, but also because we think we know more than everybody, and we just
Right.
don't. I mean, realtors are more, most of them are more well equipped than anybody else, in the general public. All the muggles, all the non-realtors. But I guess back to the point, we think that we have all this marketing prowess that would allow us to put a home on the market by owner,
Right.
and still get the same price, the same exposure, and the same result. And that's just not the case,
It's
because we
just not
do
the
bank so
case,
heavily on the
right.
MLS for the exposure.
So you're saying even like you don't think that as an agent you should list the house for sale by owner, and you don't even think that you should list it for yourself on the MLS. You think you should get somebody else.
Yeah, I really do, just because there's so much
Yeah.
emotion involved. And even, I mean, I've sold hundreds of houses, but
Yeah.
it's not, when it comes to my own house, I mean, there's a lot of emotional ties to my house.
Right.
I brought both my kids have grown up there since they were born. My grandfather helped me get that house,
Right.
over a decade ago. So there's a lot of emotional stuff there. And I know that, like, I can't pull all that out. I needed somebody
Right.
else to be the reason.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I'm good, but I'm not that good. I've been through a lot of therapy for a lot of things, but not to be able to take the emotion out of this.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you. And I think too, like even though you're saying like as any job profession has the tools to do their job, like most people that cut hair don't cut their own hair. You know
no.
what I mean? I wonder if like lawyers would defend themselves. Like they probably wouldn't. It's kind
Well,
of the same
right.
thing. Well, then
There's
I
that
wonder
saying, he
though,
who represents himself has a fool for a client, right?
right, true. I wonder though what would cause, because you're right, when we call for sale by owners, a lot of them are licensed agents.
Right.
So, I actually got one today. He was so rude. I was like,
Yeah.
really?
Right. I mean, you're not helping
Anyway,
anything when you're being rude.
I know. So, what would cause those agents to list for sale by owner rather than, I mean, I would think it would have to be they don't want to pay the broker, but don't they have to pay them anyway? I don't know.
So I guess it depends, because I know that some brokers have an arrangement. Like, I know our office has an arrangement to where we do not have to pay commission on, I think, one personal deal and one investment property per year.
Okay.
So we could list the property at, and not pay the market center anything.
Right.
I don't know that we still have to pay royalty on it, but to the franchise, but I know that to the actual office itself, we don't have to pay anything. So,
But even
and a lot of brokers
so,
do that.
even if I mean, I don't know, I forget what the averages are, but let's say we're getting more than 10% more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So like you can sell it as a for sale by owner, but like you're getting less money. And it's
Right,
not just
exactly.
because it's listed on the MLS, because if it were just the MLS, then those houses would sell too, and they don't, right? It's the
They don't.
exposure. Yeah, those the exposure to the other agents.
Right.
Because a lot of agents won't go to for sale by owners. They just won't do it.
That's right. And we know that something like 92-94% of for sale by owners end up listing anyway.
Right.
Good example, I've been calling through a long list of for sale by owners that's kind of been accumulating on me. That's my own fault. But I started at the bottom, and there's 200 of them in this list.
Yeah.
I started at the bottom, and those go back several months, and probably 9.5 out of 10 of them have listed or sold.
Right.
Most of them ended up listing. So
Right.
we know that. But also, we tell people all the time when they're by owner, you're willing to pay the buyer's agent 3%.
Right.
Or you're willing to pay an agent who brings you a buyer 3%.
Right.
And so really we're dealing with the difference of 3% here. We know that by what I do, I can get you an additional 3%, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I think part of it comes down to pride and, hubris a
Yeah.
little bit.
Right.
And we think that we just think we're hot stuff and we can do so much better. And end of the day, you're still a for sale by owner, and you still have all the stigma that comes along with it, with people thinking that they can lowball you, and just
Right.
all the little things.
It's the garage sale of
Yeah.
real estate. No, that's true.
Right.
Well, so you're saying like 95% of the comments were in line with like
Right.
they were pretty attacking. I'm glad you changed your question.
Yeah, no kidding. I was surprised by that.
I understood it when
and
I
one of
read
them,
it, so I don't know.
yeah. Well, and one of them,
Whatever.
one of them, posted some really snappy comment, and I took the first part of her comment and copied it and pasted it and snapped back, and she said, "Well, there's no reason to be so rude." And I said, "Look, I'm just replying in kind." So, some people.
That's hilarious. Let's all be nice to each other.
Yeah. I will pull this car over, kids. The other thing that I noticed is that people who sided experience, they've already done it, and so I thought that was rather interesting too.
People, what? I missed what you said.
Oh, the few people who said that they would list it by owner instead of putting an MLS right away, they cited empirical evidence that showed success. So they had already done it on their own and been successful with it. So I thought that was also sort of remarkable. And that is assuming that they are being, very truthful in what they're posting.
Well, and also too, I don't think a lot of for sale by owners are selling, but that's not the question. The question is not, are you going to sell or are you not going to sell? The question is how much are you getting? And is the time trade, like, what are you losing too by selling? Like, if we can get you more money even after paying the commission, then why would you trade your time for less money? It makes no sense financially.
Yeah, I mean, there is a significant time investment, and that actually, I don't think that part came up. That's a very good point, because there is a substantial investment of time, and you could.
Well, that's why we have jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you could be lead generating to go and make more, far more than that in the time that you would sit there online, right?
Right. You're not saving
Yeah,
anything. Even if you get another agent to represent you, you're not saving anything. You're spending more money, and
right.
your opportunity cost is so great.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's interesting. Well, I really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing it again.
Have a good one.
Take care.